I don't know what tipped me off first, her tone or the timing. Maybe both. We were at a rooftop dinner in Soho. One of those meticulously curated events with panoramic skyline views, monogrammed menus, and the quiet tension of money in the air. The kind of night where everyone smiles too wide, drinks too little, and performs sincerity like it's a startup pitch. Kelly, my wife, sat to my left, poised, polished, and perfect. A navy silk dress with an asymmetrical neckline, diamond studs, a wine glass she barely sipped from. Her fingers floated effortlessly when she gestured, tapping the edge of her glass as she delivered a line that was clearly meant to land. A sharp change of agenda would be great for my image. The table chuckled politely, a couple of raised brows. Our lead investor, a gray-haired ex-VC turned impact strategist, nodded like she'd just said something profound, but the words stuck in my ears longer than they should have. Not just the phrasing. Kelly had never once used the word image in a sentence like that. Not in public. Not when we were building our company out of co-working spaces and eating takeout off our knees. That wasn't her. That was new. Something slick and rehearsed. I didn't say anything. I forced a small smile and tilted my wine glass, pretending to study the color. Then her watch buzzed. It was one of those quiet, casual haptic taps, nothing dramatic. But I caught it. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her wrist angle just enough for the screen to light up. A blue icon, white script, familiar branding, and then the preview. Rose Romance Package confirmed. Calabresa Suites, Port de Saler, Mallorca. Guests, Kelly Hart and Mark Lane. July 14th to 18th. It hit like a punch. I didn't move right away. For maybe 2-3 seconds, I sat there, staring at my own reflection in the wine glass. My face looked calm, still, like I was listening to whoever was talking across the table. But everything inside me was unraveling, like a spool of thread rolling off a table, faster and faster. She noticed I'd seen it. Of course she did. We'd been married almost 10 years. I could feel the shift in her posture before she even looked at me. Her smile froze for a millisecond. Her eyes flicked toward me like a trained actor checking her mark. Then she blinked slowly, turned to the table and said, "Oh, that PR stunt. One of the branding girls thought it'd be cute to do a couples in tech thing. You know, optics." She laughed. Light, effortless, believable. The investor laughed with her. Someone else made a comment about millennial marketing. A few more chuckles followed. Nobody blinked. Except me. I said nothing. I just raised my glass and held it in the air like I was part of the toast. No smile. No words. Just the gesture. Kelly kept her glass raised too, her eyes darting toward mine for a flicker of reassurance. I gave her none. Then I stood. I didn't wait for the toast to end. I didn't wait for the dessert menus or the photos or the fake laughter that would come next. I left the table, walked straight out through the sliding glass doors, past the elevator, and down 4 flights of stairs without once looking back. The street hit me like cold water. Cars buzzed by. A saxophone played somewhere in the distance, probably a busker on Houston. I stood under a neon-lit awning, the name of the building casting shadows across my chest, and tried to breathe. Mallorca, Romance Package, Kelly Hart and Mark Lane. The names were burned into my skull. Branded there. She'd named it. Used her real name. Both of their names. Who the hell makes a booking like that unless they're completely confident they'll never be caught? The more I thought about it, the more that smile of hers played on repeat in my head. How easily she had flicked away the lie. How seamless it all sounded. PR package. Optics. As if I were the one overreacting. As if it was just business. I pulled out my phone, hands stiff, and opened her company's website. They'd had a new hire recently, someone from a partner firm. Business strategy. Mark Lane. It was all there in black and white. His LinkedIn photo. A smooth grin, expensive haircut, one of those venture casual guys who always talked about brand synergy and had something on the side. Of course he did. I stood on the sidewalk for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 20. I don't know. I watched people pass by, laughing, drunk, arguing, oblivious to the small personal apocalypse unfolding in my head. Then I started walking. No destination. Just forward. Here's the thing no one tells you. When your gut finally catches up to your eyes, the world tilts. Reality doesn't just shift, it fractures. Everything you thought was solid turns gelatinous, unreliable. Your memories become suspect. Conversations you once filed away as harmless start to glow with new meaning. That night, walking through Soho in a suit I suddenly hated, I started replaying everything. The last few weeks, maybe months, the zipped suitcase by the door a few days ago. I'd noticed it but hadn't thought much of it. Usually she left a post-it or packed last minute. But that bag was ready to go. Precise. No chaos, no clothes draped over the edge. Just zipped and standing there, quiet. The password changes. For security, she'd said. Our shared calendar permissions adjusted. The shared photo folder we used for receipts and flights now empty. The locator toggle missing from her iPhone. She used to joke that it was my leash. Then suddenly it was off and I didn't question it. Because trust. Because routine. Because I was stupid. But the worst part? That little voice in me. The one that told me to pay attention. It had been screaming for weeks. I just kept muting it. Telling it to shut up. Because it couldn't be true. Because Kelly wouldn't. She wouldn't. And yet, there it was. A 5-word sentence had blown it all apart. A sharp change of agenda. And the notification, perfectly timed like an exit cue in a stage play, had told me everything I needed to know. She'd made a plan. She was going with him. And she had no idea I was already gone. The walk back to the apartment took 42 minutes. I know because I checked the time obsessively, even though I wasn't in a hurry. My legs moved on autopilot, but my mind was stuck in rewind, caught in a looping sequence of Kelly's recent behaviors that, until tonight, I'd labeled as quirky, stressed, or busy. But now they lined up like breadcrumbs I'd been too naive to follow. The first was the suitcase. It had been standing by the door 3 days ago. Zipped, upright, ready to go like a soldier waiting for deployment. Normally, when Kelly packed, she left a trail. Shoes without their pair, cords coiled sloppily, travel bottles half full and rolling off the counter. She always made a list, handwritten, and taped it to the fridge. Not this time. Just the suitcase. Silent. Final. When I asked her about it, she didn't even blink. Oh, she said. I packed ahead for Madrid. Didn't want to scramble last minute. I nodded. Madrid. She'd been invited to speak at a Women in Tech Summit, or so she said. I didn't question it. I even offered to help her practice her pitch. She brushed me off, saying she wanted to go over it with her co-leads instead. Now I wondered if co-leads meant Mark Lane. I hated that his name had a rhythm. 2 strong syllables. Like a brand. Mark Lane. The kind of name that didn't need a title. Probably wore linen on vacation. Probably used phrases like circle back, in bed. Probably never had to work for someone like Kelly. Just showed up, smiled, and was enough. The second thing was her phone. She used to be careless with it. Left it on the kitchen counter when she showered. Asked me to read her texts out loud while she cooked. That changed around the same time the new iPhone came out. She said she switched to an eSIM for fewer physical backups. But really, it meant one thing. A new number. I found that out by accident. A notification had popped up on my MacBook one day. An airdrop request from Kelly Private. I remember staring at it for a solid 30 seconds. She hadn't named a device that way before. I asked her about it and she said it was a burner profile for client comms. Sure. Client comms. In invisible ink. Then there were the passwords. We'd always kept a shared vault, nothing fancy, just a Google Doc we both updated. Flights, hotels, subscriptions. Slowly, line by line, hers started to disappear. When I asked why, she said she was consolidating for security reasons, which sounded valid at the time. Everything she did came with a clean, confident explanation. Like a good CEO. Like a good liar. And the receipts. We used to log everything. Every ride. Every meal. Every shared Uber during business trips. Then one quarter, her report came in light. I noticed it when reconciling for taxes. 5 dinners had no receipts, no entries. She said the cards glitched. I believed her, but I didn't anymore. Not after seeing the romance package booking in her watch notification. Not after watching her lie with such elegance. Not after remembering that 2 weeks ago, she told me she might extend her stay in Spain because she had an opportunity to meet founders from Lisbon who were doing interesting things with B2B AI, right? B2B AI. She even asked if I thought she should bring a swimsuit, just in case there's a pool. That was the language she used. Just in case. Like swimsuits needed plausible deniability. Later that day, I had gone to throw a hoodie into our laundry bin and saw the shopping bag. Small, discreet, wedged behind the closet basket. Inside were 2 new swimsuits, tags still on. Designer ones, the kind you don't buy for pool laps. The kind you buy to be seen in. Then there were the charges. Her personal card, the silver one, not the business black, showed a few curious transactions. Nothing scandalous. Nothing glaring. Just odd. A boutique florist 2 blocks from our apartment. She hated flowers. Always said they died too fast. A same-day delivery to a custom stationery brand. An imported chocolates order shipped express. Each item small enough to miss. Each one just plausible enough. But strung together, they weren't purchases. They were props. And I'd been sitting in the front row of a play I didn't even know I was in. I got home just after 10 p.m. The apartment was dark. Kelly was still at the dinner, or maybe not. Maybe she'd gone straight to Mark. Maybe she was booking flights with him as I stood in our hallway staring at the framed photo of us in Paris. Her hand on my chest, my smile too wide. I opened our shared laptop. Not hers. Hers was probably locked 6 ways from Sunday. But the iMac we used for vacation planning and Netflix? That one I had access to. I opened our travel inbox. And there it was. Right in the starred folder. Booking confirmation. Guests. Kelly Hart plus Mark Lane. Departure. JFK Palma de Mallorca. Dates. July 14th to 18th. Airline. Iberia. Joint check-in enabled. Seats. 3A plus 3B. My throat tightened. No PR stunt. No partner's trip. No optics. This was personal. This was real. And it was logged, labeled, and scheduled like an event in a calendar I'd never been invited to. I opened her iCloud drive. The folder labeled temp/brisa/July had PDFs. One was a receipt for Cala Brisa Suites. Port de Saler. A boutique resort on the coast. A room with a king-sized bed. Add-ons. Champagne on arrival, rose petals, and a romance package billed under her silver Amex. I checked her statements. There it was. $172. Candlelight dinner for 2. $45. Pedal setup. Room 304. $340. Private cabana. Ocean view. 4 hours. Each transaction wrapped in euphemism. Each one time-stamped with love. I stared at the screen, jaw clenched, eyes dry. You don't prepay for pedals unless you're planning to lie. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with the iMac screen still glowing, and I stared at the printout I'd made of the travel booking. I didn't know why I printed it. Maybe I needed to hold it. Maybe I wanted to feel the weight of it. Maybe I wanted something physical to destroy later. I pictured them there. Mark with his button-down unbuttoned just enough to look carefree. Kelly in one of those swimsuits, holding a spritz with a slice of grapefruit. I imagined them laughing. Her hand on his wrist. His voice too low to hear. And I wanted to break something. But I didn't. I just sat there and planned. Because love can make you blind. But betrayal? That gives you 20/20th vision. I didn't wake up the next morning. I resumed consciousness that's closer to the truth. The light in the kitchen was a bruised gray, filtering through the blinds like something that didn't want to be seen. The coffee machine was still on from last night, its orange light blinking like a silent accusation. My tie was on the floor, my jacket draped across the counter. The printout of Kelly's booking lay in front of me, slightly curled at the corners where my hands had gripped it too tightly. There was no dream to wake from, just the steady, dull replay of the truth. Mallorca, Cala Brisa Suites. Room 304. Kelly Hart and Mark Lane. Every line item was seared into my brain, yet I kept rereading it, as if one more pass would reveal a clerical error, a different name, a plausible way out. But no, it stayed the same. Cold, indifferent, confirmed. Around 7:40, I heard the elevator hum. Footsteps, the sound of heels on hardwood. She was home. Kelly's schedule was predictable when she wanted it to be, structured enough to appear accountable. When she didn't want to be tracked, she moved like smoke. The door opened, then shut quietly. I didn't turn around. "Hey," she said softly, a beat too cautious. "You left early last night. Everything okay?" Her tone had the careful brightness of someone testing water temperature. I didn't answer right away. I just watched the steam rise from my untouched mug. "I wasn't feeling great," I said. "Had to clear my head." She crossed the room and rested her bag on the chair beside me. "You disappeared. The investors asked where you went." "I bet they did." Her smile faltered, but only for a fraction of a second. "What's that supposed to mean?" I looked up at her then, really looked. The calm confidence she wore like armor was still there, but I could see the small tells. A twitch at the corner of her mouth. Her fingers tracing the edge of the bag's handle. She was rehearsing her lines before I'd even given her the cue. I reached for the folder on the table and slid a single page toward her, the printed confirmation. For a moment, she didn't recognize it. Her eyes flicked over the paper, scanning it like an analyst reviewing a contract. Then the color drained from her face. "Where did you get that?" she asked, voice tightening. "In our shared travel inbox," I said. "The one you apparently forgot we both have access to." She opened her mouth, closed it, then found her footing. "It's not what it looks like." I almost laughed. "You're really going with that?" Her tone sharpened. "It's for work, Nathan. PR optics. You saw the message. It's a couple's package, but it's a partnership promo. The whole point is to look like a couple?" I interrupted. She blinked. "It's not romantic. It literally says romance package." Her face froze. The silence stretched. She looked down, then back up, quickly switching tactics. "You're overreacting," she said. "Do you really think I'd book something like that and leave it in our inbox if I were trying to hide something?" "That's exactly what I think," I said evenly. "Because you wanted it to look innocent." Her jaw clenched. "I can't believe you're doing this. After everything I've built, you're accusing me because of a label on a booking?" "Kelly," I said quietly, "you didn't just make a booking. You bought petals." That broke her rhythm. A flash of shock flickered across her face. Barely visible, but enough. "What?" I turned the page. "Petal setup. Room 304. Candlelight dinner for 2. Private cabana. You used your silver card. Want to see the statement?" For a moment, she just stood there. Then she whispered, "You went through my accounts? You used a joint billing address. You didn't cover your tracks." Her composure cracked for the first time. She looked smaller, still dangerous, but cornered. "It's not like that," she said again, her voice trembling slightly now. "Mark. This is complicated." "No," I said, pushing back my chair. "It's really not." After she left for the office, I sat on the couch with the printed pages spread across the coffee table. The city outside moved like nothing had changed. Sirens, car horns, the usual rhythm of Manhattan. But inside the apartment, everything had gone static. It's strange how quickly love becomes data. One minute you're planning vacations, the next you're doing forensic analysis of booking confirmations and timestamps. I spent the next hour building a timeline. Emails, charges, calendar entries, travel alerts. Everything lined up. June 28th. Florist purchase. June 30th. Team building dinner without a receipt. July 3rd. eSIM activation. July 5th. Swimsuit purchase. July 9th. Booking confirmation. July 14th to 18th. Madrid panel. There it was, the full architecture of betrayal. Perfectly symmetrical. Flawless in its construction. almost admirable in a sick way. I took photos of everything *TS, receipts, the iCloud files. I uploaded them to a hidden drive. I wasn't sure what I'd do with them yet, but I knew I'd need them, because this wasn't just about cheating. This was about control. Kelly's entire world was built on perception. Reputation was currency. Image was everything. And I had just uncovered the one crack that could collapse the facade. Around noon, I called the hotel. A woman with a soft Spanish accent answered. Calabresa Suites, good afternoon. Hi, I said, keeping my voice calm. I'm confirming a booking under Kelly Hart. One moment, sir. Click. Keyboard sounds. Then, yes, confirmed. July 14th, 5 nights, Port de Saler. Ocean View Suite Romance Package. Would you like to add anything to the reservation? My throat felt dry. Actually, could you tell me the second guest name? Mark Lane, she said cheerfully. Everything is confirmed for Mr. and Mrs. Lane. Shall I email the itinerary? Mr. and Mrs. Lane. Not even subtle. Yes, I said quietly. Please send it to the registered address. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Not from rage, something colder. Precision. I wasn't guessing anymore. I had proof. And proof was power. That afternoon, I worked methodically. Downloaded call logs. Exported message histories. Checked her cloud for shared photo folders. I found an archive labeled Brisatemp, but no images. Just metadata, timestamps, GPS coordinates. She'd probably deleted the rest, but she forgot one thing, the cache. Inside the deleted folder were 5 photos, low resolution but clear enough. Kelly on a balcony I didn't recognize. Sunlight cutting across her shoulder. A man's reflection in the window, tall, dark shirt, holding the camera. Mark. That was the moment it stopped being abstract. Until then, everything had been text, receipts, digits. But a photograph is undeniable. It's the universe whispering, you're not crazy. I stared at that image for a long time. The composition, the way her hair moved in the wind, the way she tilted her head. It was soft, unguarded, the version of her she used to save for me. Something inside me shifted then. Not anger, not heartbreak. Something colder, more deliberate. A quiet kind of resolve. The kind that doesn't scream, it plans. I knew what I needed to do next. Not revenge. Not chaos. Something cleaner. Controlled. Surgical. The kind of move she'd never see coming. I closed the laptop, picked up my phone, and typed a single message to a contact I hadn't spoken to in years. Someone who, coincidentally, had every reason to despise Mark Lane as much as I did. Sophia, it's Nathan Hart. We need to talk. I hit send. And for the first time in 2 days, I smiled. Sophia Lane responded in under 10 minutes. Meet me at 6. Darrow Hotel lobby. Come alone. That was it. No questions. No preamble. I stared at the message for a long moment, imagining her face when she read mine. We hadn't spoken in over a year. Not since the last company retreat where Mark had tried, very unconvincingly, to introduce her as a powerhouse in hospitality strategy. Sophia had given him a look like she was doing math in her head, calculating how long she could stay married to a man who said things like that without cringing. Even then, I suspected she knew something, maybe not details. But Sophia was too sharp, too observant, too precise to be unaware of the way Mark looked at women who weren't his wife. I arrived 10 minutes early. Darrow was one of those sleek boutique hotels that tried to feel like a secret, the kind with low lighting, minimalist art, and staff trained to look expensive. I spotted Sophia instantly. Black blazer, black heels, not a hair out of place. She sat on a velvet couch near the bar, one leg crossed over the other, scrolling through something on her phone like she owned the building. When I approached, she didn't look up, just said, "Sit." I did. She finally glanced over and blinked once. So, he did it again. I paused. Again. She gave a dry smile. Mark's not original, just arrogant. We sat in silence for a moment, the sounds of soft jazz and clinking glassware filling the space between us. Then I took a folder from my bag and placed it on the table. Cala Brisa Suites. Romance package. Mallorca, I said. Kelly and Mark. Joint reservation. Petals and everything. Sophia didn't flinch. She opened the folder, scanned the printouts, and gave a small exhale through her nose. Classy, she said. He always did have a thing for ocean view discretion. Then she looked up at me. What do you want to do? I met her gaze. Expose them. Quietly. With precision. Her smile widened. Good. I was hoping you'd say that. What followed wasn't dramatic. It was administrative. Sophia was methodical. She already had access to Mark's travel points and was, apparently, the primary on their shared airline rewards account. Within minutes, she pulled up their Iberia booking, cross-referenced the itinerary, and, while sipping sparkling water, submitted a request for a partner upgrade for anniversary travel. Complimentary, of course. Turns out Sophia had been saving her miles. She clicked through add-ons. Upgrade Varenewal Suite. Add-on. Complimentary anniversary signage. Add-on. Welcome set. Champagne, strawberries, printed photo voucher. Then she called the hotel directly. She spoke in perfect Spanish. Her voice was warm, pleasant, persuasive. I didn't understand every word, but I caught the rhythm. Smiling diplomacy laced with authority. When she hung up, she glanced at me. They'll be greeted as Mr. and Mrs. Lane, she said. They think it's a surprise anniversary gift. Room has been upgraded, comped under points. Cake included. You're welcome. I sat back, absorbing it all. She reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. Next, she said. We'll need the full folio. Can they send that before check-in? No, she said. But I can request it as a follow-up from my husband's account, which technically I have full access to. He never updated the profile. She fired off an email to the hotel manager, CC'd the reservation desk, and attached a mock surprise coordination letter that I assumed she had either written on the fly or already had saved from a past disaster. Subject, folio request, anniversary documentation / lane booking. It was elegant, professional, impossible to flag. By the time I blinked, she had already scheduled the email to auto-send the day after check-in. Once Mark and Kelly were locked into the scenario, I watched her work. It was impressive. No mess, no anger, just clean, surgical revenge. Why are you helping me? I asked quietly. Sophia looked up. Her expression softened slightly. Because I spent 5 years watching Mark build a life on smoke, she said. And because I like precision. So do you. We sat in silence again. Then she stood, smoothed her jacket and said, Let me know when you want the final bill forwarded to her employer. Then she walked out. Later that night, I added one more layer. Back in my apartment, I opened Kelly's investor deck, the one she was prepping for the next fundraising round. I went to the slide labeled Founder Retreats and Brand Pilots. In it, there were several photos of work couples from other startups used as aspirational branding examples. In the margin of the deck notes, I typed, Suggested new image, Calabresa, Hart and Lane, July 14th. Fully documented. Romance tier. I didn't save it. I just left it open. When Kelly logged in, she'd see it. I wanted her to know I knew, without the screaming, without the confrontation, without the fight. I wanted her to sit with it, to wonder what else I had. The next morning, I forwarded the updated itinerary to her firm's compliance officer. Just the confirmation. No commentary. No message. Just the facts. Kelly Hart and Mark Lane. Mallorca. Shared bed. Romance package. All booked under real names, under a timeline that directly overlapped with an investor meeting Kelly had labeled as Madrid Business Panel. Then I forwarded it to their key investor. The one from the dinner. The one who had raised a glass after Kelly said, A sharp change of agenda would be good for my image. This was her change of agenda. And now her image was on the line. By Friday, the hotel had responded. The reservation had been flagged, per Sophia's request, for VIP handling. The note in the booking file read, Anniversary couple. Do not separate. Confirmed media upgrade. Deliver surprise at check-in. Photographer to greet guests. Gift set provided by Mrs. Lane. There would be photos, video even. At check-in, they would be greeted with applause, rose petals, and congratulations. They would be handed a card. Happy 5th anniversary, Mark and Kelly Lane. They would be offered a printed photo keepsake, courtesy of the hotel. And the staff would be waiting, watching, and I would be waiting too, with the receipts. The final detail came into place on Sunday morning. Sophia texted me a **T, an email from the hotel concierge confirming the full folio would be sent to the primary contact post-checkout. The name? Sophia Lane. The address? A dummy inbox she controlled. The account had been used years ago for spa confirmations and travel rewards, and Mark had never updated it. All yours, she wrote. Enjoy paradise. I stared at the screen. In less than a week, the two people who thought they were untouchable were walking into a high thread count trap lined with petals and linen lies. Everything was logged. Everything was time-stamped, and none of it required me to raise my voice. Back when Kelly and I first met, before the companies, the decks, the branded retreats, she once told me that clarity was her greatest asset. If I can see the shape of something, I can control it, she'd said. She had no idea I remembered that, but I did. And now I could see the shape of it. And it was collapsing. They checked in just after noon. The timestamp was in the folio, 12:14 p.m., July 14th. Reception confirmed it too in their email summary. Mr. and Mrs. Lane arrived right on time. Very happy couple. Happy. For exactly 12 minutes, maybe. According to Sophia, the welcome went off without a hitch. Staff greeted them in the lobby with kava and strawberries. There was a sign at the front desk. Congratulations, Mark and Kelly. 5 years strong. A young concierge, unaware of the orchestration behind it all, presented the anniversary gift bag with 2 matching robes and an invitation to their romance photo shoot. The photographer, hired by the hotel as part of the upgraded vow package, captured everything. The awkward laughter, the stares, the moment Mark clearly realized what was happening, but couldn't back out without raising questions. The front desk agent told Sophia in her follow-up email. They seemed surprised at first, but didn't correct anything. Smiled for the photo, took the champagne, went to their suite. Of course they did. What were they supposed to do? Argue with the staff? Admit that they weren't actually married? That the names on the reservation were technically accurate, but morally bankrupt? No, they played along. They smiled, posed, and walked hand in hand toward a room designed for an occasion that never existed. Suite 304. The same room Kelly had prepaid for. The same room with the petal package. The same room now documented down to the minute in the itemized bill. Sophia received the full folio less than 24 hours later. The invoice was pristine. Calabresa romance tier. Ocean View vow renewal suite. Rose petal turn down. 1800 hours, July 14th. Private cabana service. 10 to 1400 hours, July 15th. Candlelight dinner, 2 guests 2030, July 15th. Couples massage. 1600 hours, July 16th. Breakfast in bed, 2x July 15th, 1617. And at the top of the page, in bold, primary guests, Mr. and Mrs. Lane. Billing contact, Sophia Lane. Rewards. Room number 304. Sophia sent it to me in a PDF with the subject line, "Your turn." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it. 2 clicks. One to Kelly's company's compliance team, the other to their head of investor relations. I didn't add commentary. No threats. No accusations. Just the PDF, labeled only, Booking Documentation Mallorca, July 14th to 18th. Then I attached the joint boarding passes, which I'd saved from the inbox Kelly thought I never checked. I circled the names. Kelly Hart plus Mark Lane. Iberia 8821. JFK PMI. Seats 3A plus 3B. And below that, the hotel confirmation *T with the petal surcharge. That's all it took. The fallout wasn't immediate. These things never are, not at first. But the cracks widen fast. On the second day of their romantic retreat, Kelly's corporate card was frozen mid-breakfast. She messaged the company finance group. The reply was terse. Pending internal review. Please use a personal card. That same morning, an audit request was issued for Q2 travel and expense irregularities. 3 board members were quietly looped into the conversation, including the same investor who had clinked glasses with her that night in Soho. His response, forwarded to me by someone I'd long suspected was less loyal to Kelly than she believed, read simply, "We need clarity ASAP. Discrepancy between Madrid event and actual travel. This could affect Series C negotiations." And that's when I knew. The image she tried so hard to sculpt was beginning to blur. Meanwhile, back at the resort, Mark Lane booked a return flight for July 16th. I have the confirmation. He used points, likely to avoid it showing up on their joint statement. The reason listed in his OO email? Urgent client engagement. Back in NYC Monday. Kelly stayed behind. She didn't post. She didn't message. She went dark. I imagined her there, pacing that upgraded suite surrounded by petals, towels folded into swans, champagne flutes on the bedside table. None of it romantic anymore. Just props in a failed play. I wondered if she drank the wine. I wondered if she slept. I didn't reach out. I didn't answer her 2-word text the day Mark left. You knew. No question mark. Just a recognition. A surrender. She sent another the following morning. Can we talk? I didn't reply. Instead, I sent her a file. The photographer from the hotel, God bless scripted packages, had emailed Sophia the complimentary keepsake video, part of the vow renewal package. It was exactly 45 seconds long. In it, Mark and Kelly stand at the reception desk as hotel staff say, "Feliz Aniversario," in chorus. Someone claps. The concierge hands them their robes. They nod, smile. Kelly accepts the card. They pose for a quick photo. At the end of the clip, they walk toward the elevator. Side by side, I trimmed it, cropped the edges, removed the audio. Then I added a caption. This is what it looks like. I sent it to Kelly. Then I deleted our thread. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't thrown anything. I hadn't accused, confronted, or collapsed. I had documented. I had let the evidence speak. And now it was doing exactly what it was designed to do. Undermine, undo, unravel. A week later, I heard Mark had quietly removed himself from the advisory board of a fintech incubator. Sophia told me he'd offered some weak excuse about needing to realign priorities. He was back in New York, staying somewhere else. Sophia changed the locks. She sent me a thank you message. It was short, elegant chaos. Cheers. I didn't answer. As for Kelly, she returned to the city like someone walking into a building after a fire. Careful, cautious, uncertain if the walls were still stable. She didn't come to our apartment. She couldn't. The locks had already been changed. The key was sitting on the entry table, waiting. And the suitcase she'd packed for her Madrid summit was already back, standing upright by the door, exactly where she'd left it before her flight, untouched, unzipped, waiting for her to understand what it meant. That was the final image I left for her. A life rearranged without drama. No screaming match. No final scene. Just a key, a suitcase, and the absence of anything else. Sometimes silence is the loudest exit. Her corporate card got declined mid-lunch with investors. An audit was launched. I hired a divorce attorney, closed joint accounts, and had the locks changed. When she returned, the apartment was quiet, stripped clean. Her suitcase stood by the door, untouched since Mallorca. My key lay on the table. I didn't say a word. She knew. Sophia and I met at a diner, no drama, no pretense. We reviewed the facts and shared a quiet moment of mutual understanding. That evening, I sent Kelly the hotel's vow renewal video. Staff clapping, her smiling beside Mark, the robes, the card. No commentary, no edits, just truth. There was nothing left to deny.